What is up, everybody? Hey, my name's Bill, aka Billy Goat. I'm working in the shop today and I'm going to replace this transmission for the fourth time in this 2021 Toro Timemaster. Let's get to it. The part number for the transmission we're using is 131-9665. This Timemaster is 3 years old with 559 hours. For safety reasons, I always recommend pulling the spark plug boot before doing any repairs. Replacing the transmission will take at least 30 minutes. And to make it quicker, if you can get the mower up in the air, that would greatly help. And I do that by just using a strap and supporting it from the ceiling joist. No special tools needed, just a standard set of SAE sockets with a socket wrench, and you might need extensions. Snap ring pliers. I also use a 14 gauge solid copper wire and screwdriver, and you may need a rubber mallet. From the back side of the mower, I start on the right side and I use a 9/16 socket to remove the nut that holds the wheel on. Pull the wheel off, and in between the wheel and the gear cover is a washer. Go ahead and take the washer off, and then you can take the gear cover off. I try to keep everything in order, so then when I put it back, it's a little easier to put back together. Next is the gear. There's a retaining clip. Now, sometimes you can just pull the retaining clip off without any pliers or screwdriver. Sometimes, you might get lucky and just be able to pull it off. At other times, just be careful if you're using a screwdriver or pliers to, take the clip off, and then you can get the gear off as well. So, and I set that aside. Next, I'll go to the left side and I'll do the exact same thing. This retaining clip is a little bit tougher to get off, so I'm using a screwdriver to pry it off. You can also use needle nose pliers if you wanted to. I've done that before. Just be careful when you're trying to get these clips off of there. With taking these clips off, I try not to bend them or even break them, because every so often, you will lose one of these clips trying to pop them on or off, and it gets to be real irritating trying to look for them. So I try to keep these intact as much as possible, because there are times where it's nice to have them as a replacement if I lose a clip or so. There's 3 pieces of plastic conduit that protects the shaft. On the right side there's a larger piece, and then in between on each side of the transmission there's two smaller pieces. You just easily just pull those right off. Here I'm removing the spring attached to the transmission. You can use a spring hook, that works, but I don't have one heavy enough, so I use this 14 gauge copper wire and just pop it off its joint there and just wrap it up around the frame, and that helps keep the spring from actually falling out from under the mower here. You could remove the bracket stop with the nut there, but I end up leaving the bracket on there and just simply just push down on the metal bracket to pivot the transmission down so I can take the drive belt off of the pulley there. This spring here is the tension for the actual bar, and to take it off safely, just move the position forward beyond A, and that will put the bar in a position where you can just easily take the spring off. Using a 3/8 socket, you can remove the two bolts that hold the bearing mount for the transmission shaft. Head back up to the right side of the mower where we took the wheel off, and there's a thrush washer you take off. Sometimes if you have an older model Timemaster, there's a retaining ring that you have to take off first. Since this is a newer model, it doesn't have the retaining ring. So go ahead and get a 1/2 inch socket and take that bolt off, and that's the what they call the retaining bearing holder. It should slide right off, but sometimes you have to use a screwdriver just to help pull that bearing holder off. Head over to the left side. It's slightly different. This one has the retaining ring on the left side, so pull that off with the snap ring pliers, and then behind that there's the truss bearing. Pull that off, and then use your 1/2 inch socket to take that bolt off and take off the the bearing support and along with the spring position lever. Next, move the transmission to the left while moving the axle bar to the right, and it should just pop down and out. And then take the transmission and move it to the left, and the transmission should drop. This is the part that most people have difficulty with, is trying to get the self-propelled cable off of the transmission. There's two little tabs on each side of that cable that you just push in and tug on the cable housing to pop it from its joint there. Then rotate the transmission up a little bit so that you can pop the spring off. Now the transmission will just easily just come right out. Alright, depending on the actual model that you get, as far as the transmission, the older transmissions come with 2 gear clips and 2 retaining rings. Now this one here has the 2 gear clips and only 1 retaining ring, and they put it on in a plastic bag that's taped to the transmission shaft. Be sure to put the shaft support bracket that's on the old transmission and slide it onto the new transmission. To reassemble, we're just going to do the complete reverse of what we just did. We're going to take the transmission, the longer side of the transmission shaft, and put it through the frame and reconnect the spring for the self-propelled. Now just simply tug on the cable housing and pop it back into position. And then take the left side of the shaft and put it through the frame there. Put the left side of the axle on first while sliding the transmission to the left, and then you will be able to put the right side on. At this point, I'll put the support bracket for the shaft back in place with the bolts, with the mounting bolts. Now, I'm sure all these bolts and screws that we're going to be putting back in probably have a torque specification. Now, I don't know what they are, but usually when I do from now on, when I tighten these things up, I don't over tighten them. I snug them pretty good, but I don't over tighten them. So, because a lot of this is aluminum, and you can easily strip out the bolts if you over tighten. Okay, I'll go back to the left side and I'll put the positioning lever on along with the bearing support. I'll pop that back in and put the bolt back in. I just hand tighten it for now. The reason why is until I get the right side on, I don't want the shaft to bind up while I'm trying to reassemble it. The left side of the shaft has the notch for a retaining ring, so on this one, the left side has it, but not the right side. So we're going to go ahead and use the new retaining ring that they gave us in the kit, and I'll put that on. Now before putting that on, there's the thrush washer that you put on first. So go ahead and put the thrush washer on, and then you'll be able to put the retaining ring on. Yeah, just take your time. Don't open up the retaining ring too much to where you stretch it out, because you want it just to be able to open it just enough to slide along the shaft so it fits securely in the groove. Okay, head back over to the right side to put on the retaining bearing support, and use the bolt to secure that back in place. You can actually tighten that one up. Like you say, don't over tighten them. Just snug them. Pretty good. And then put the thrush washer back over the shaft there. Now go back to the left side and be sure to tighten up that bolt as well. Now you'll be able to put the gear back on. Just slide it on just the way you took it off, and use one of the gear clips provided. And there's a little hole there. Just pop the clip in. It's not as easy as you think it is. It's the same thing. You can get it in so far. You might be able to do it by hand, or just use a pair of pliers, needle nose pliers, or a screwdriver to help get it over the spot where it'll lock in. Okay, next take the gear cover, put that back on, and then there's the other washer that goes on next, and then you'll be able to put the wheel back on. So get the wheel and just slide that onto the shaft and rotate it to where it locks in the gear there, and then you can take your nut and put the nut on and tighten it up. All right, we're back on the right side. Go ahead and put that gear on and put the gear clip back on. And this is why I keep extra clips. I don't like to throw away the clips because they only give you enough for the replacement and with no extra. So it's nice to know that you have a spare just in case you're trying to put these clips back on and one of them goes flinging somewhere and you can't find it. So that's why I don't like to bend them or break them if all possible, because there will be a time if you do these often enough where you're glad that you got the spare for situations like this. All right, go ahead and put the gear cover back on, and don't forget about the washer. Put that one on first, and then you'll be able to put the wheel back on. And then go ahead and secure the wheel by putting the nut back on and tightening it up. Now it's time to put the drive belt back on, and just make sure that the stop plate is either off or bent forward enough to where you can tilt the transmission forward. So then it gives you the room to get the belt back on over the pulley there, and then make sure that the transmission side is on and also the motor side. So you might have to go back and forth a little bit to get them back in their grooves, and then once you get it, then you can just rotate the transmission up, and just make sure that tab for the support stop is up so that the belt will stay in position. This is nice having this wire, because the spring is still attached to the frame of the mower. So all I'm doing is getting the wire in position so that I can tug on the spring and be able to pop the spring back into the mounting hole on the transmission. The larger spring that's connected to the axle bar, you just do the same thing. Just move the positioning, past the A spot, and it gives you a room to freely be able to put that spring back in its groove with no tension on it. And then once it's in that slot there, then you can just put it back in one of the positions there, and it'll lock it into place. And now you can put the 3 shaft protectors back on to get them started. Especially the larger one, it's a little, you have to mess with it a little bit, but once you get it over the shaft, the rest of it kind of just pops on fairly easy. and the two smaller ones are definitely easier to do. And finally, before you lower the mower, just make sure that the right and left side wheels rotate, fairly easy. You might hear a little bit of the grinding from the gears. Usually, when they start to get worn, they have a little bit of a noise to it. But that's pretty normal. You just don't want it binding up, and making sure everything's free before you lower the mower back onto the ground. And put a little oil on the bearing for the shaft support bracket. That bearing over time, especially if you're running in wet conditions, will start to make a grinding noise. So just put a little oil on there every once in a while, and that'll keep that bearing lubricated. This old transmission will end up in the stockpile I've been collecting over the years, and possibly one day they might have rebuild kits for these things. After this repair, you may need to adjust the self-propelled speed positioning, and that's easily done. That's located on the handlebar up near where the off switch is. There's a nut there with the cable, and all you do is just loosen up that nut. The older Timemasters have a knob, but you loosen it up and just slide the tube one way or the other to take the slack out of the cable. And here's a special bonus maintenance tip. Oil the cable as well. Put a few drops of oil at least once a week or often, especially if you're using it commercially for both the self-propelled and the blade engage. So what you do is just rotate the handlebars in the up position and take oil and put a few drops on the cable on both the self-propelled and the blade engage. And what that does is that'll help prolong the life of these cables. Now, surprisingly, this mower has nearly 560 hours on this mower, and I've never replaced either one of these cables. Alrighty, this concludes this video on the replacement of the transmission on this 2021 Toro Timemaster. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want for me to do any other maintenance videos or tips, please let me know, and I'll post them when I can. Lastly, don't forget to put your boot back on your spark plug. You don't want that headache after this, trying to start the mower after this long repair. So appreciate you making it this far, and we'll check you out in the next video. See ya.